Hold on a second. So just if you weren't here, I'll read the first part of the Gemara very quick, the one that I read last week, just so you know it. Was anybody not here last week? You were not here? You weren't here? So the Gemara says, let me get this out here. So I have to get the right English. Okay, so the Gemara says as follows. By the way, I have something interesting that I don't know what it means. So I'll throw it to the crowd. Rabbi Akiva, it says his story a bunch of times throughout Shas. The famous story of Rabbi Akiva, he married the daughter of Kochba, the wealthy guy. Check this out. Where can you find the story of the origins of Rabbi Akiva? We have this Gemara here in Nidarim. It's going to talk about it. But where do you know the story that he had 24,000 students? And they all came, it was throngs. Also here, but another place. Ketuvot, page 62. Ketuvot, page 62. How do we know that the 24,000 students died? Where's the source for this? Yevamot, page 62. The same page 62. The story of Rabbi Akiva is also written in the Avot Rabbi Natan. Right? Old. It's almost like the Avot sometimes. The Avot Rabbi Natan, what's the source? Where do you find it? Perek 6, chapter 2. Mishnah 2, 6-2. 62, 62, 62. I don't know what's going on with 62 with Rabbi Akiva, but you should never forget the page numbers, at least. I don't know. So anybody here a wordsmith? So I asked Davidovich, I said, David, what do you got here? Give me a number for 62. He's like the residing kabbalist in the shul. And he said, I got nothing for you. He's like, I have 63. My kolel. I said, I don't want to use the kolel. Give me somebody who's 62. He said, nothing. So I asked Rabbi Dado, I'm like, Rabbi, what's 62? Give me something for 62. He's like, I got nothing for you. I said, I asked Davidovich. He also said he has nothing. So later on, Rabbi Dado comes to me. He's like, Davidovich told you he has nothing? Did he forget that his old name was Niv, which is 62?
Oh, wow.
Like, he forgot his old name. I'm like, that's the most I've gotten so far, the whole thing. Okay. Don't work on it now. I tried everything before. So the Gemara says as follows. The Gemara says, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Akiva, he married the daughter of Kochba, which literally means the satisfied dog, the full dog. Because anyone who went to his house, even if they were starving, they came out like a satisfied full dog, which you never find a full dog. There's no such thing as a full dog. That's how rich he was. Shama Kochba heard that his daughter Rachel married this Amaretz shepherd Akiva. He said, you may not marry him, and if you do, you're out. You're out of the estate. You cannot have anything. Make a vow. She didn't listen to him. She saw something deep. Tosafot says she saw he had good midot. Even though he had no Torah, he had good midot, and derech eretz chadma Torah. She said, there's something here I can work with. Azla v'itnesibale besitva. She went and got married to him in the wintertime, so it was cold when they got married. Havaganu be'tivna, and they were sleeping in the cold on straw, piles of straw. And the Gemara says, now the art scroll says, Rabbi Akiva would pluck the straws from her hair in the morning. That's go dirty. And I said last week that that's not really what the Gemara says. It doesn't say him and her. It says havakaminaket le. That's a male word in Aramaic. Le is male. Havakaminaket le. It would be picked from him, or he would pick. We don't know exactly what it means. Tivna min maziyah. Straw from hair. It doesn't say from her hair or his hair. So the Ben Ish Chai says you're reading it wrong. Ben Ish Chai says it means Rabbi Akiva would pluck the straw out of her hair, not she would pluck the straw out of his hair. Sorry, what am I talking about? The other way around. The Ben Ish Chai says she would pluck the straw out of Rabbi Akiva's hair, not that he would pluck the straw out of her hair. So every morning she would pluck the straw out of her hair. And which type of hair? Says the Ben Ish Chai, the beard, because the beard is the holiest hair. And so she made sure to clean his beard every day. And therefore, the end of the Gemara makes sense. Why? Because Amallah, he says to her, while she's doing this, I wish I had more money. one day, if I have money, Yerushalayim de Dahaba. I'm going to put on you Yerushalayim of gold. Yerushalayim, this is where the song comes from. Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. Yerushalayim de Dahaba is called Eid Shel Zahav. There was a crown that the girls used to wear. Or Mordechai said last week it was a plate they used to wear. It's a mahloket, Rashi and Tosafot. Whatever it was an ornament that they used to wear of solid gold with the whole, like a Sefer Torah, like Yerushalayim engraved on it. They used to call it the Eid Shel Zahav or Yerushalayim de Dahava, which is Aramaic for gold. And as the Ben Ish Chai said, last week we said this, he said to her, you care so much about my hair every single morning, cleaning my hair from the straw, I'm going to put on you. Now, I'm not only going to buy it for you, I'm going to tie it on your hair every day. I'm going to tie the crown on your hair. Atay Eliyahu, comes Eliyahu, Idemi lehon ke'anasha, and he appears like a person. So if you don't believe Eliyahu and Rabbi, this comes down, this Gemara says straight out, Eliyahu and Rabbi came down like a person. And that's already one thing to think about. Why Eliyahu and Rabbi? So put that in the back of your head. And he's calling at the entrance of the door for help. Amalehu, he says to the couple, Habuli purta detivna. Anyone have some straw? I need a little bit of straw. The yaldat itati, because my wife is giving birth or gave birth. Veletli mida'am aguna, and there's nothing for her to lay on. So at least I'll take some straw if anybody has any straw. So Amala Rabbi Akiva, the intite, Rabbi Akiva says to her, Hazeh gavra, the afilu tivna la'itle. Wow, even a straw guy doesn't have. How wealthy are we that we at least have straw? And then she says to him, Amnaleh, Zil heve be'rav, you should go study in the academy. Go study in the yeshiva. And that's what he did. These are the Gemara that I read last week for the Mother's Day class. Now let's read the end of the Gemara. Amnaleh, she says to him, Zil heve be'rav, go be a student. This middle part everyone knows. Azal tate sereh shenin, he went for 12 years. Kamed Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua, before Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua. And Limishlam tate sereh shenin, after 12 years, Ka'ata lebeteh, he went home. Shema mina horeh beteh, and he hears from behind his house. This will never work in 2024, that's for sure. He hears a wicked neighbor telling his wife, Shapir abi le'abuch, your father did the right thing by cutting you off from the family. You made a really bad decision marrying this guy. Why? Hada, firstly, the lo damilich, because your husband is not equal to you. You married down. You're the wealthiest girl in the community. You married a nobody. Ve'od, and secondly, admilut hayot kulehon shenin. He has left you as basically a living widow for 12 years. Where's your husband? He's gone. Now she says to the evil neighbor, if you would only listen to me, I'll take another 12 years in the yeshiva. Now, whether she's serious or not serious, he hears this, Ahmad, he says, he gave me permission. And like any good husband would say, I got permission. I'll go back and learn another 12 years. Which is exactly what he did. It'll never fly these days. I love my wife, but she would yell at me. She would say, even though I gave you permission, I didn't give you permission not to come back home and to go back. You should have come in. And then he went for 12 more years. And now here comes the part that everyone knows. He comes back with 24,000, it says in this Gemara, pairs of students, but in most of the other Girsot, it says 12,000 pairs or 24,000 total. So most of the Mefashim say it doesn't mean pairs, it means 24,000. It does say the word pairs though. Well, 24 years, 24,000, so 1,000 per year. When he comes back, he's the Gadol Ador. So everyone comes to greet the big rabbi. Even his wife gets up to go greet him. I look at amongst the poskim whether she knew this big rabbi was her husband or not. Some say she didn't know who he was. Some say she knew. They didn't have WhatsApp and phones like we do these days. So they hear a big rabbi's coming. How's she supposed to know it's her guy? Amala, who the Shia, that same wicked neighbor says, where are you going? A righteous one knows the nefesh, the soul of his animal. It's a pasuk. She went to go see. She went to go see him, and Rabanan and his students, the rabbis, were pushing her away from him, which is not so nice. Amar lehon, he said to them. Rabbi Akiva says to the students, Hanihula. These are the very famous words. Leave her alone. Sheli b'shelachem shelahu. Everything that belongs to me and everything belongs to all of you, all belongs to her. That's part 2 of the story. That's a very well-known part of the story. Shama Kaba Sabua. The father-in-law hears, his son-in-law became a big guy. Ata bi'itashil al nidre. He did nullification for his vow. He got out of the vow. And he got it removed. And now the Gemara uses, now it's part 3 of the Gemara. Now that we know that he got his vow removed, he wants to help his son-in-law and share with his wealth. And so now we're going to talk about, as a third part of the Gemara, the last part, how did Rabbi Akiva ever get wealthy? And did he ever buy this crown for his wife? So the Gemara says, Min shit mileh i'ata Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva got wealthy from 6 different sources. And they're all very strange sources. Number 1, Min Kaba Sabua. His father-in-law helped him in the end and gave him a lot of money. His father was the wealthiest person. So that's first way how he got wealthy. Number 2, Min Ayala Desfinta, which literally means from the ram, R-A-M, the animal, like the rams. Min Ayala Desfinta, the ram of a boat. The Mifashim say that they used to put, the sailors, they thought it was a good sign, good omen, if they put like a statue of a ram or a deer on the front of their boat. And sometimes they would hide all the money inside of it. They would hollow it out and hide all the money. And one time he sees a ram of a boat floating on the water, and there's tons of treasure inside of it. As the Gemara says right now, they used to put, every ship had a front part of a deer. Zimna hada and shuya al kef. Once the sailors forgot and they left it on the water, Atahu Ashkan, Rabbi Akiva found it and he became wealthy. That was his second source of wealth. The third source of wealth, Umin Gavza, from a treasure chest. The Zimna hada, one time, Yahiv arba'a zuzeh lesapuna'eh. He gave 4 zuz to a sailor. A sailor was about to go out to get some money or make some merchant, do some business. And he says, I want to be an investor. How much money you have to invest? 4 zuz. Pick up whatever you can buy for me for 4 zuz. How much was 4 zuz? So it seems like it wasn't a lot of money. But I've seen one of the Mefashim ask, hold on a second. Had gadya, there's a vinava betre zuzeh. You could buy a goat for 2 zuz. So that's not such a little amount of money. But regardless, Amar lehu aiti limi da'am. I want you to bring me something for this money, for my 4 zuz investment. The sailor went, all they could find was a big piece of wood floating on the water. And then when they wanted it, they said, hey, give this to the rabbi. Some people say it was a chest. The Beis Chai says some people say it was a chair they found floating on the water, or it's just a plank of wood coated in metal, or a metal chair. So it was heavy. They brought it to the rabbi. And Amrullah, they told him, Abid manana aleh, use this in the meantime while we find something else better for you. It was very heavy, too heavy for the metal. And inside of it was hidden all gold coins. That's another way he became wealthy. Why was that full of gold coins? One time, a ship of Arabian traders sank. And they all hid all their profits in that wooden chair or chest or piece of wood. And that's what the guy found, and that's what he gave to the rabbi. It's worth noting, there's a whole halachic question on this, whether you're allowed to keep it. There's like a mekak ta'ut and all that. As a non-Jew, are you allowed to keep the mistake? It's an interesting question. The fourth way, umin matronita, from a certain noble woman. A noble woman She lent money to the rabbi, Rabbi Akiva, and when it came time to pay it back, he was sick. When he made the loan with her, she said, "Who's your co-signer?" And they made the water, the heavens and the seas, the ocean, as the co-signer. And the rabbi was sick that day. He couldn't go pay his loan. He could go the next day. So that day she goes to the ocean and she says, "I was promised that you would co-sign the loan." And all of a sudden, at the same time, there was a princess on the other side of the ocean, on the other side of the sea or whatever, the river. She went crazy. She threw all her jewelry in there and it all floated to the other side. And it went to this lady. So she, "You paid me back my loan?" The next day, the rabbi comes with his money to pay his loan. She said, "No, the loan's paid already. The sea paid me." He said, "Nah, I'm paying the loan." He says, "Keep it. And here, I can take more." So that's another way how he became wealthy. That's not all of that. That she says. Okay, this is what I want to talk about mainly. Uminishto shel Turnus Rufus, from the wife of Turnus Rufus. We'll call him Rufus. So Turnus is like a title, like general or like Pharaoh. Rufus was his name. And Gemara doesn't say how he became wealthy from Turnus Rufus, from Rufus's wife. And the last one is, Kiti'ah Bas Shilum, from another guy, Kiti'ah Bas Shilum, also doesn't say what happened. Okay, so now, okay. First of all, what happened with Turnus Rufus? So that she says it, Tosafot says it. There was a story, this guy, Rufus, he used to have debates with the rabbi all the time. A vichuah, like the Ramban used to have. And Rabbi Akiva always used to beat him and defeat him in the debates, and he never won. He was humiliated. So one time he came home and he told his wife, "This rabbi is driving me crazy. I can't beat him. He's always winning me." And so his wife says to him, I'm going to read Rashi. Adon Echad Sheshmo Rufus. There was a guy named Rufus, Rashi says. He would always debate Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva would always win him. He was so embarrassed. He went home and told his wife. She says to him, Ani apatehu, I will seduce him with my beauty, and I'm going to get the rabbi into a scandal. I'm going to make him go with me. So I'll embarrass the rabbi. Why? She was very beautiful. Biyote. Ba'ata etzlo, listen to Sashi, okay? It's very important, the words. Ba'ata etzlo, she comes to Rabbi Akiva, v'gilita shoka kenegdo, and she opens her skirt. She's trying to get the rabbi. So what does he do? Verak Rabbi Akiva. Immediately he spits on the floor. V'sahak, and then he laughs. Ubacha, and then he cries. This story is in Avodah Zarah, page 10 also. Amralo, she says to him, Madua asitakin. Why did you do these things? Why did you spit, laugh, and cry? Amala Hashinaim omelach. I'll tell you why I did two of them, but not all three. Mashirekakti, this that I spit, bishpil shemitipasiru habbat. Because you come from a little piece of sperm. You're nothing. I'm trying to make it like, she's beautiful, but she's nothing. Just like my spit, a little piece of spit, so too, everyone comes from a little piece of sperm. You're a nothing. Everyone's just a nothing. So don't get crazy. Just for self-control for myself. The Mikubalim, they talk about this. The Chidah brings down that there is I'm not advising this, but there's a kabbilstic concept of the Chidah. If someone is literally about to fall for a very, very bad act of relations, spitting is something that can turn you off, says the Chidah. Look at the words for keri. Keri is semen. We use the word to waste semen on someone that you're not allowed to be with. Is kof resh yod. And spitting is the opposite. Yod resh kof. So you're taking the yod, which is Hashem, and you're putting it in the beginning of the word. Keri, semen, is the yod's at the end of the word. Hashem's last. You want to take Hashem and put it first, and he makes it a holier thing. It stops you. It helps you stop. If you think about it, and this is all my words, really, keri, semen, the word kad also means cold. Keri, semen, we use the word keri for wasting seed. It's going nowhere, right? Kad means cold. Sheker, falsehood, maybe also has a source in the word kofresh. I'm not sure if the shin is a serving letter or not. The only thing, and rek means empty. Same two letters. Rek means empty. The only thing I wouldn't be able to connect is vegetables and the color green. Well, green comes from the color green is because vegetables are green. But what would a vegetable have to do with being empty or cold? Maybe the cold season. I don't know exactly. I'm just thinking my own. Okay, that's why he spat. But hold on to these letters because I want to come back to it with something else. Ubachiti, you know why I cried? Because you're so beautiful, but you're going to die after 120. You're going to go right in the ground, just where everywhere else grows. And why he laughed, he didn't tell her, as she says. She was so impressed by the rabbi that he wouldn't fall for her. She said, I actually want to be with this rabbi now, in a kosher way. He told her, all right, I'll tell you why I left, because I can see that you're going to convert one day. You have a good neshama inside of you. And then what happened was, she ended up converting, and she ended up marrying Rabbi Akiva, as she says, and Tosafot. So Rabbi Akiva had a second wife, or possibly even a third wife, which is a convert from Rufus. After Rufus died, he married the wife of Rufus. She was very wealthy, and he became wealthy from his wife. Interesting. Rabbi Akiva, his wife, Rachel, sleeping on the straw for him, picking pieces of hair out of his beard, and she goes and he marries the wife of Rufus. So I want to help a little bit with a little bit of Kabbalah. This is from the Hida and the Ramam and Pano, and they quote it, some of this in the name of the Arizal as well. What is he marrying the wife of Rufus for? That's the big question. You're Rabbi Akiva. You're the greatest rabbi in the world. You're marrying the wife of Rufus? And so the Arizal says, really the Ramam and Pano is the one who really says the most, opens it up. That her neshama, he saw that she was a special neshama. And he cried because not only she was beautiful, because in her last life, she used her beauty for the wrong thing. He sensed that the wife of Rufus was Kozbi Batsur. If you remember at the end of Parashat Balak and in the beginning of Pinchas, when the leader of the tribe of Shimon was sinning with the princess of Kozbi, Zimri was the Jewish leader, Kozbi was the non-Jewish princess, and they sinned together in a very brazen way, and they caused other people to sin, and there was a magifa, there was a plague. The girl's name was Kozbi. And so he saw in the previous lifetime, Kozbi is the same soul as the Rufus's wife. So that's why he cried. And he left because he knew that she would have a chance to rectify what she did last time by this time marrying the rabbi kosher, in a kosher way, not in a scandalous way. Now, if you think back at the story of Kozbi and Zimri, they got together, and a lot of more people from the tribe of Shimon got involved and also sinned, and there was a plague, and we lost a lot of people. How many people did we lose? 24,000 people. There were 24,000 people who died when Kozbi and Zimri were together. And how many students of Akiva died? 24,000 people. However, the Ramah and Pano takes it a step further. There's another case of 24,000 people dying in the Torah. Where is it? the Dinah rape. If you go way back, when Dinah was raped by Hamod, Shechem ben Hamod, when Dinah was raped, the tribes, her brothers came to her defense, and they told the people in the town, you have to have Brit Milah. The people had Brit Milah, but their intention was not to convert. Their intention was to just marry all the Jewish girls and take over the Jewish possessions. Shimon and Levi, two brothers, they came and they wiped out the city and they killed 24,000 people. It says in the Chumash, 24,000 people. And so therefore, it says in the Ramah Pano, it's a 3-act story. Dinah and Shechem are together in a non-kosher way, and the whole town is complicit in the act, and no one stopped the rape, and 24,000 people had to pay the price. Says the Arizal, these 24,000 people, they had another chance to make it right. Those same souls were used by the 24,000 people of Zimri and Kochba. And this time they had a chance to protest the act of Zimri and Kochba, and again, they did not protest the act. They involved themselves and were accomplices as well. And so unfortunately, they failed the test the second time. Zimri and Kochba were the same Nishamot, says the Arizal, as Dinah and Shechem. And therefore now we have Act 3. And there might be another one in the middle, but I don't want to fuzzy it up. Rabbi Akiva, he sees this woman, the wife of Rufus, is Kochba, which is Dinah, spark of Dinah. And she has a chance to finally marry the kosher way. Now the question is, the 24,000 people that died for Rabbi Akiva, they were righteous, they were big rabbis. And so why'd they have to pay a price? So I want to go back. If you look at what they said in Shechem, when Dinah was raped, and the brothers tell Shechem, if you got a Brit Milah, we'll let you marry our girls. So they went to all the people, and they told them the following. They said, everyone has to get a Brit Milah. It's the only way they're going to let us do this. Yeah? That's the only way they're going to allow us to do this. And would the people respond? Here, hold on. Here. If I have a tikkun, I'll find it in 2 seconds. You know? They responded, all their girls are ours, and all their stuff is ours. They all belong to us. I can't find it. I need my tikkun. It's a good plan. Let's go with the Jewish people, and we'll take everything they have. They're very wealthy. We'll take it all. It's all ours. They did it in a selfish way, to collect, to take what other people had. Now, Shimon and Levi were cursed by Yaakov Avinu for doing this. And what was their curse? Shimon and Levi, I'm going to scatter them out. Shimon and Levi had no chelik b'nahala in Eretz Israel. They had no portion. They had no real estate in Israel. Levi had no real estate. Leviim lived amongst the people, amongst the Beit HaMikdash. And Shimon had no real estate. Shimon lived amongst Shevet Yehudah. They didn't have a nahala. That was the curse of Yaakov Avinu. If you go to Sefer Yerushua, where Joshua divides the land, he said, to Shevet Yehudah, they got this part. To Shevet, there's no Shimon. Shimon didn't get all the real estate. So maybe part of the tikkun was they got these people to die by putting the money over their eyes and saying, you'll be rich, you'll take what's ours. And so now you have to learn what it's like to not have your own. Who was the ones who sinned the second time around with Kochba and Zimri? Which tribe was it? Shimon. It was the tribe of Shimon again. So these 24,000 people, so think about it. The 24,000 people in Shechem, the non-Jews in Shechem who raped Dinah, they came back as Shimon people, the very guy who killed them. Shimon who killed them. The very guy who killed them, they came back as his tribesmen, and they did the same thing again. They took what wasn't theirs. They went with the non-Jewish women, and they died again. The third time they came as Rabbi Akiva students. What did Rabbi Akiva tell them, as I read in the Gemara, when they were pushing his wife away? Leave her alone. Sheli v'shelachem shelahu. What's mine and what's yours is hers. The opposite of what you guys have been doing. You want to take what other people have. Everything they have is ours. Nothing you have is your own. Nothing you have is your own. Everything you have belongs to this woman over here. Maybe that was the final tikkun they had to do. Now, Rabbi Akiva, this story happened, and I know Yossi says this all the time. There are people who say that the 24,000 students who died were actually military people. They were soldiers in the army of Bar Kochba. Now, what was his real name, Bar Kochba? His name was not Bar Kochba. Koziva is a nickname we gave him. His name was Bar Kuzba, the son of Kuzba. Kuzba? Cosby? What? Rabbi Akiva believed Bar Kochba, Bar Kuzba was Mashiach. He made a mistake. He wasn't Mashiach. Rabbi Akiva bought it in hook, line, and sinker. There was a person by the name of, and what was his first name? What would we say his father's name? What was his name? What was Bar Kochba's name? Shimon. His name was Shimon. Shimon Bar Kuzba. Shimon Bar Kuzba, he ruled in Yerushalayim, and he had a military, and he was fighting against the Romans, and he was becoming very powerful. Rabbi Akiva swore he was Mashiach. That's why he changed his name to Bar Kochba, because it says in the blessings of Bilam, Darach Kochav miYaakov. I see a shooting star coming from Yaakov. It's Mashiach. He says he's the shooting star. Instead of Bar Kuzba, we should call him Bar Kochba. He's a star. He's a shooting star. We call him Bar Kuziva because Kuziva means a lie. It means a fake. That's how his name became Kuziva. Rabbi Akiva bought in on Bar Kochba, Bar Kuzba. Kuzba is Cosby. It's the same word as Cosby. The woman who made us fall twice, and he felt, I guess, that he can fix. And he said, this is Mashiach. I can fix the situation. I can fix it with her, and I can fix it with him. Now, when Cosby and Zimri were killed, what does it say? How did Pinchas kill them? It says, Vayikach Romach biyado. He took a spear in his hands. Romach also could be Ramach, the 248 mitzvot. He took a spear in his hands. And how did he kill Cosby and Zimri? You know the words? Yariv? How did he do it? Balak. The end of Balak. It says, Vayad Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron Kohen. Pinchas, the son of Elazar, sees Cosby and Zimri together. Vayakom mitoch ha'edah, vayikach romach biyado. He takes a romach, and he comes ahad ish Yisrael el hakuva. Hakuva, it seems like Akiva. Vayitkor et shenehem. Vayitkor, Ibn Ezra says, you know what the word vayitkor means? Kira. It means to make a hole. It's the same word as spit. Vayitkor, he makes a hole in them. Kira is the same word. Et shenehem, et ish Yisrael, to the Jewish man, ve'et ha'isha el kobata, and to the isha, and to her kobata, her private part. Now listen to this. Vate'atzar hamagefa me'al bnei Israel, and the plague was stopped from the bnei Israel, and the deaf people were Arba'a v'isrim Aleph, 24,000 people. If you were writing this pasuk in Hebrew, how would you say, and the plague stopped? How would you say that? Maybe you can say, and she will stop hamagefa, the plague. Maybe you can say, She, even though now she's causing the plague, when she comes back and she's with Rabbi Akiva, the 24,000 students are dying. Just maybe, I don't know for sure, just maybe when she got married to Rabbi Akiva, it all stopped. But the final tikkun was when she did it in a kosher way, she will stop the plague. Which plague? Not this plague. The plague of Rabbi Akiva, of his 24,000 students, or the soldiers of Bar Kochba, Me'abene Israel, from the Jewish people. So just maybe you can say it's a future tense. This woman, Zimri, Dinah, she's going to do it in a good way. The Eshet of Rufus, the wife of Rufus. One last part. The Hidah says that Rabbi Akiva was a very special soul. And this, again, I warned you, it was kabbilstic with Gilgulim and Neshamot. So there are, according to the Kabbalah, you can have more than one spark of a neshama inside of you. And the best example is Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi, Pinehas, Ze Eliyahu. Pinehas says, the Mikol Ben Ishai says this, Arizal says this, Pinehas was the soul of Pinehas, and also his cousins Nadav and Avihu. He was like a supercharged. And then Eliyahu Hanavi. And so, Rabbi Akiva, his main neshama, was just like the letters of his name, Yaakov. Rabbi Akiva was basically like a Yaakov Avinu. And that's why he married a girl named Rachel. Now, Yaakov and Rachel had a very hard time having children. Yaakov and Rachel. That's why you asked me, did he have children? I don't know if he had children. Rachel had to beg for children. I don't know if Rabbi Akiva had children, but he married Rachel. But Yaakov had to marry his second wife, Leah, the mother of Dinah. And so too, Rabbi Akiva married the second wife. Maybe she was just Dinah, or the same spark of Leah, of Dinah, which is the wife of Rufus. Akiva, the only difference between Yaakov and Akiva is that same Yud. It's that same Yud like the Keri and the Kad. Yud, Yaakov is a future word. He will be in the end. He will win in the end. Akiva is a statement. He won. Akiva is the winner in the end. Last part. Eliyahu Hanavi is the one who came to their house and said, hey, who has straw? And he's the reason why he went to go study. But Pinhas is Eliyahu. Who killed Zimri and Cosby? Pinhas killed Zimri and Cosby. And so he came to do his part, to try to help push this along as well, and get Rabbi Akiva coming. Comes Eliyahu Hanavi and says, hey, you got to keep moving. You got to become Rabbi Akiva, because you got to marry the girl that I killed. You got to marry Zimri. And so comes Eliyahu Hanavi. And then the Midrash says, when Rabbi Akiva died, which you were just telling me about Akiva, when he died at the word of Ehad, which, by the way, I believe is Berachot, page 61. 61 Berachot, I believe. Maybe there was supposed to be a few more words to bump it to the next page, 62. Eliyahu Hanavi buried him, it says. Eliyahu Hanavi buried him. Who buried Rabbi Akiva? Eliyahu Hanavi buried Rabbi Akiva. So we have a complete circle. Pinehas kills Zimri and Cosby, but then they come back. This time he helps them get married the kosher way. He sends them on his way. They do it the kosher way. No, but the plague is stopped. And Eliyahu Hanavi says, now I can bury Rabbi Akiva. Was Rabbi Akiva right about Bar Kuzba? No, he was wrong. But he definitely believed he did a major tikkun in the world. There's no doubt Rabbi Akiva, if he thought it was time for Mashiach, he thought, I did a major tikkun in the world. I got these 24,000 guys from Shechem to all be rabbis. What was the problem? Lo nagu kavod zelazeh. Lo nagu kavod zelazeh. Maybe they still had a little piece. They didn't give each other proper honor. Maybe it still was miknehem v'kinyanam Elohim. Their stuff is mine. They didn't fully get to the point of Sheli v'shelachem shelahu. Everything we have belongs to her. So there's a little bit of kabbilstic insight to tie in Bar Kochba, and to tie in Zimri, and to tie in Shechem, to tell you that there's a lot more going on when you dig beneath the surface, especially with Akiva. The lesson, I don't know, the lesson is we're doing a bit tikkun, we still have a bit tikkun. Maybe it's time for Mashiach. Everyone tells now it's time for Mashiach. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Even Rabbi Akiva can make it wrong. But we have to focus on the tikkun of Na'agu kavod zelazeh. Don't take what other people have. Whatever is mine is yours. Whatever is yours as well. And that's the Hidush for today for Perashat Yamod. Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen, Amen. Hazak. Yeah.